The company Xiaomi has just dropped what might be the boldest smartphone of 2025, the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max, and this one isn't playing it safe. We're talking about a phone that packs a 7,500 milliamp battery, a round secondary screen on the back, and Leica engineered cameras that could give the iPhone 17 Pro Max sleepless nights. But the question everyone's asking, is this the phone that finally dents Apple's armor, or is it just another shiny experiment destined to fade? Because make no mistake, Xiaomi didn't just release a phone this time. They walked straight into Apple's courtroom with a counter case in their hands. And this case isn't about who sells more phones. It's about who dares more, who's willing to take risks again, who's bold enough to make tech exciting again. So in this video, we're putting the 17 Pro Max on trial. Innovation versus execution, power versus practicality, creativity versus control. This isn't just another product review. This is a courtroom drama where every feature is a witness and every design choice is cross-examined. And here's the twist. Unlike Apple or Samsung, Xiaomi isn't fighting for market share anymore. They're fighting for relevance. Because in a world of predictable rectangles with 3 cameras and the same marketing slogans, they've built something that actually makes people stop scrolling and say, wait, what is that? So buckle up, the lights are dimming, the jury is seated, and the court that is now in session. Here's how Xiaomi set the stage. They didn't just release another phone, they jumped an entire generation. Skipped the 16 series completely. Went straight to 17, and that wasn't random, that was intentional, a bold statement to the world that they're not playing catch up anymore. Think about it, every major brand plays it safe. Apple adds a new color, Samsung polishes a curve, but Xiaomi looked at the rulebook and burned it. They said, we're skipping numbers, skipping expectations, and skipping hesitation. Because the 17 Pro Max isn't a continuation, it's a rebellion. And if you followed Xiaomi's journey, you know this has been building for years. The Mi 11 Ultra was the first time they said, we can play in the big leagues. Then came the 12 Pro, elegant but safe. The 13 Ultra, that was the moment Leica entered the chat. And the 14 Pro showed maturity, consistency, and a design language finally their own. But the 17 Pro Max, this feels different. This feels like Xiaomi saying, we're done imitating, we're writing our own chapter now. And they didn't just upgrade the specs, they upgraded their attitude. They want to prove you don't need a $1,000 logo to deserve respect. That innovation doesn't belong to any one company. That a phone can still make you say wow without the fruit logo on the back. And you know what? They're right. Because for the first time in a long time, people aren't asking if Xiaomi copied Apple. They're asking if Apple can keep up with Xiaomi, and that brings us to the headline act, the feature that's got everyone talking. The dynamic back display. Yeah, you heard that right. There's a screen on the back of the phone. It's round, built right into the camera island, almost like someone fused a smartwatch into the rear panel. You can check notifications, control your music, glance at widgets, or even use it as a live viewfinder for selfies with the main camera. Imagine flipping your phone around, seeing your reflection on that tiny screen, and snapping a Leica-grade portrait with zero guesswork. That's the future vloggers were begging for. And it's not just a gimmick. The way it blends into the design is almost seamless. No ugly bezels, no awkward bump, just a smooth circular display glowing from within the camera ring. And you know what? It actually looks premium. Not trying too hard premium, but finally someone dared to do this right premium. Now, here's where it gets interesting. This little screen can also display animations, charging effects, and even notifications while the phone's face down. You're in a meeting, phone's on the table, and instead of lighting up the whole screen, a subtle glow ripples through that back circle to let you know who texted. It's weirdly futuristic, but somehow classy. And let's be real, Xiaomi has always loved flirting with chaos. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But this time, it might actually work, because the more you use it, the more it starts to make sense. It's useful, fun, and feels like something out of Iron Man's lab. Now sure, there's a risk. A few early testers said that the back display drains a little more battery during constant use, and it can get slightly warm while wirelessly charging. But let's be honest, we're talking about a company that's willing to take chances, and in a sea of safe, boring slabs, that's refreshing. Because love it or hate it, when you see the 17 Pro Max lying next to any other phone, your eyes will go to that glowing ring. And that's exactly what Xiaomi wanted. This isn't just a phone, it's a statement, a message that says, yes, phones can still surprise you. Alright, let's talk about the real power move. and I mean that literally. The Xiaomi 17 Pro Max packs a 7,500 milliamp hour battery. Let that sink in. While Apple still calls all-day battery life a breakthrough, Xiaomi just casually dropped a 2-day phone. That's a monster of a battery, but here's where it gets even crazier. 100-watt wired charging and 50-watt wireless. 0 to full in 28 minutes. That's faster than some laptops boot up, faster than your coffee brews, and definitely faster than Apple can decide to switch to USB-C again. What impresses me most is how Xiaomi manages the heat. The thermal design uses a new graphene vapor system that spreads heat like magic. So even during gaming or recording 4K Leica video, the back stays comfortably warm instead of frying your hands. And for those who care about battery health, they actually thought about that too. The 17 Pro Max uses a dual cell architecture that charges each cell individually to extend longevity. Translation: this thing won't age like your old Android did after a year of fast charging. It'll keep pumping strong for hundreds of cycles. Yes, the trade-off is weight. At around 238 grams, it's not feather light, but come on, you're basically holding a power bank with Leica optics and an AI chip inside. I'll take that any day. And here's where Xiaomi quietly flexed. Their battery optimization is insane. In real-world tests, this phone lasted 20% longer than the Galaxy S25 Ultra on video playback, and still had juice left after streaming for 8 straight hours. So if you travel, shoot content, or just hate living near an outlet, this is your phone. It's not just powerful, it's relentless. And it's the first time in years a smartphone made me say, wow, I don't need to worry about battery today. Alright, this is where things get serious, because Xiaomi didn't just upgrade the camera, they teamed up with Leica, and the results are borderline ridiculous. You've got three 50 megapixel sensors, a wide, an ultra wide, and a telephoto. Each one is custom tuned with Leica's optics and color science. But here's the thing, this isn't about throwing megapixels at a problem, it's about character. Every photo from this phone tells a story. There's depth, texture, and that signature Leica glow. The kind of cinematic warmth that makes even a coffee cup look like a magazine cover. You tap the shutter and what you get isn't just sharp, it's soulful. Compared to the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the Galaxy S25 Ultra, Xiaomi's images look less sterile and more alive. Skin tones are warm, shadows are dramatic, the highlights roll off gently instead of screaming digital. It's like the difference between watching a blockbuster and watching a documentary. Both good, but one hits you right in the feels. Now, about that telephoto, this time it's a proper upgrade. 5 times optical zoom with almost zero noise and beautiful stabilization. And while Apple still plays word games with 8x telephoto, Xiaomi quietly delivers real optical performance that doesn't need marketing spin. Then there's video. 4K at 120 frames per second with full HDR, 10-bit color depth, and, wait for it, Leica log profile for pro-grade grading. In simple terms, this phone can record a travel vlog or even a short film without ever touching a dedicated camera. And remember that back display we talked about? It becomes your mini monitor when filming yourself, so you can finally frame perfectly using the best lens. No guessing, no cropping. If photography is storytelling, this is the author's pen. It's not the biggest camera system in the world, but it's one of the few that actually makes you want to go outside and shoot something, because every time you press that shutter, you don't just capture a photo, you capture a feeling. Now let's talk about the part you'll see and touch every single day, the display and design. The Xiaomi 17 Pro Max features a 6.9-inch LTPO AMOLED 2K display, and it's a stunner. 3000 nits of peak brightness. Yeah, you heard that right. Brighter than some living room TVs. And outdoors, under direct sunlight, it doesn't just fight glare, it laughs at it. Finally, we're looking at a flat panel. No more accidental touches, no weird light refractions at the edges. Just a clean, confident slab of glass that feels like precision itself. Xiaomi also nailed the refresh rate tuning this year. The adaptive 1 to 120 Hz LTPO tech feels buttery smooth whether you're doom scrolling, gaming, or editing a 4K clip, and the haptic feedback, crisp, tight, satisfying, and almost mechanical. But the design, Oh man, the design deserves its own spotlight. This time, Xiaomi didn't just copy what works. They refined it. A titanium alloy frame that catches light like jewelry, a frosted matte back that hides fingerprints beautifully, and those subtle Leica-inspired red accents around the lens housing. It just screams premium. Even the weight feels deliberate. Heavy, yes, but reassuring, like a camera that means business. And here's the detail that gets overlooked: the tiny curvature where the frame meets the back glass. It's soft, almost invisible, but that's what separates a good phone from a masterpiece. There's even a bit of design storytelling here. See, Xiaomi's earlier flagships were trying too hard to look expensive. This one doesn't try, it just is. It's confident, mature, and unapologetically bold. And you know what? It finally feels like Xiaomi has found its own design language. Not inspired by Apple, not similar to Samsung. It's pure Xiaomi. If you put this next to any flagship on a table, most people would assume this is the most expensive one. So, after everything we've seen, the design, the cameras, the display, the battery, the bold risks, what's the verdict? The Xiaomi 17 Pro Max isn't perfect. It's heavier than it should be. The back display might not be everyone's cup of tea. And yes, the software still has that little Xiaomi quirkiness hiding underneath all the polish. But here's the thing, perfection is boring. This phone isn't about perfection, it's about passion. About a company that's tired of playing safe and finally decided to play loud. It's raw, it's ambitious. It's chaotic in the best possible way, and in a world where most phones feel the same, this one actually made me feel something. If you want predictable, go iPhone. If you want refined power, go Samsung. But if you want creativity, excitement, and just a bit of rebellion, this is your phone, because while others are busy optimizing, Xiaomi is still dreaming, and maybe that's exactly what tech needs right now. A little more imagination. This was the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max on trial, and in my court it's guilty of bringing excitement back to smartphones. Court adjourned.